Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Source of Food, and if you're happening on the channel for the first time, this is where I sit and I reminisce on the good old days growing up back in the 60s in rural Jamaica, right? 60s and 70s. What I want to talk about today is the fact that back then, growing up as a kid, people were very thoughtful and kind when it comes to sharing. I think people are still kind and thoughtful today. So back then, a lot of people, my neighbors specifically, never had much. So whatever we had, we tried to share it. At least if we had enough to share, we would share it. And one of the way people used to share back then would be to send over or send some dinner next door to your neighbor. So I remember as a kid, back then there was a neighbor living in front of me, another neighbor to my right. From time to time they would be sending some of their dinner to our home because, for the most part, we never had much. But whenever we had enough and to spare, that was something that we would do in return. And I don't know whether or not that tradition still happens today. People still do that, or it might be done but maybe in a different kind of way, probably. But growing up back then, that was something that was quite frequent in my little village. Like I said, when we made dinner and we had enough to spare, we would send some of what we cook to give to our neighbor next door, right? And vice versa, not something that we could do every day, maybe just once or twice a week. And likewise, when they also make their dinner, they would return the favor. And, and I guess it was done because, we all knew, or the neighbors all knew, that everyone was going through a bit of a hard time. Things were tough. And so that was a way of helping each other, alleviating the burden of providing food for us grandchildren, because it was mostly grandchildren growing up then. Most of the mothers and dads, they were away in some far off country or something, and so the grandmothers and the granddads were the ones raising a lot of the kids, at least in my little village. The grandparents were the one raising the kids, and many of the grandparents, they were the breadwinners of the family, right? Especially my family. My grandma was the breadwinner. So I thought I'd share that today. I'm not sure if it still happens. I'm from Jamaica, rural Jamaica, and that was a common and quite a frequent thing that we did back then, or I would say my grandparents do, and other neighbors around me. So tell me about it. In your village or community, if you grew up around that time, or maybe even later, maybe you are from the 80s, even the 90s, right? Grew up in rural communities. Did you found that kind of sharing happening when it comes to food and stuff? And it may not be just food. There might be other things that you might have noticed that your neighbors would share with your family, or your family would have shared with them. Tell me about it. Anyway, that's all I thought I would share today. Just going back down memory lane and thinking about some of the stuff that I used to see happen as a kid. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you like the channel and the stuff I talk about, subscribe to the channel. All right. So until I talk again. Until the next video, my name is Source of Food. Take care of yourself.